Hello, everyone. Today we are going to continue with this book, An Era of Darkness, British Empire in India by Dr. Shashi Tharoor. Okay, here you can see this is the back page of this book, back cover of this book. So in the previous videos, we have discussed the complete timeline that has been mentioned at the very start of this book and kind of an overview about what you can expect out of this book, what is the exact nature of things that have been explained in this book, and what is the exact arrangement in which the author has decided to cover several topics in this book chapter wise. Okay, so today we are going to discuss the first part of chapter number 1 of this book. The chapter number 1 is named as The Looting of India, and the part we are going to cover today is named as The Conquest of India by a Corporation. Okay, so starting on with it, as the Mughal Empire was eventually collapsing in the 18th and 19th century, the various other powers were starting to get pumped up due to that, because they knew that the Mughals are not in a state are not in a quite favorable position for themselves to assert themselves on us like they did used to in the past. So they just started to fight with each other, especially the princely states, and due to which they caused a bit of a chaos and you can say a situation in subcontinent in which there was kind of a power vacuum that was created at that time due to the main ruling empire, the Mughal Empire, becoming weaker by the day, by the week, by the month. Okay, so in all of this particular situation and the scenario that was arising, the British Empire, or should I call it East India Company at that point, because at that specific point when the infighting began between the different princely states, the British called themselves traders and not rulers. They did not become rulers. They were trying to become rulers under the garb of trade and business, but there was still they kind of sensed an opportunity to, okay, this is the right time to start taking things under our control and so on and so forth. So there were various regional powers in addition to the British Empire that who were all trying to get a piece of the complete pie, and but they, out of all of them, only the British Empire or the East India Company had the latest technology, the latest artillery of that time, so which gave them quite a bit of an advantage over all other powers. Okay, so moving on, there were some multiple ways. There were a number of ways the British Empire used to take over or to get control of the complete subcontinent, and they used various different ways in different areas of the subcontinent to get to authority, to gain authority. Okay, for example, in some princely states, what the British Empire did at that time was they bribed some of the Nawabs, of which got bribed by the British Empire, to let them have the authority of their state, and these specific Nawabs could carry on with, but they were not going to be the actual emperor or the Nawab of that state. They are just going to be the puppet of that particular princely state. Okay, and the main control of the tax revenues and all land was going to be with the British Empire. So this was you can say option number 1. The other option or the other method they used to deploy with the other states which did not, directly um, agreed to the British Empire's rules, like the Nawabs who got bribed by the British Empire. They just British were quite ruthless in their approach towards them, and they just deployed their military on those particular princely states, and due to which there was a lot of plunder, there was a lot of pillage, there were a lot of casualties as a result of this particular process, and ultimately the British Empire got hold of those kind of particular princely states as well. Okay, and you just to mention a single point apart from all this, that all the most of the land the British Empire conquered was quite was not barren. Okay, it was quite fruitful. It was quite a healthy land which could produce a lot of harvest, a lot of produce, and which was quite productive. And the British Empire simply took it from their original owners who used to till that land and their family for generations. Okay, and after that, yeah, the I have mentioned here so far two methods through which the British tried to gain control over the whole of subcontinent, but there was another one, kind of an onerous rule, uh, in which the benefit is only always towards one party and the loss is always towards the other party. Okay, which is known as doctrine of lapse. Okay, so in what happens during a doctrine of lapse, which the British implemented in 1840s, is what happens is that, for example, if someone is is a Nawab or is ruler of a particular princely state and he does not have a son, or he has not declared an heir before he died. Okay, he did not declare any crown prince kind of a person who could take control after the actual the Nawab's death. So in this particular situation, when an emperor, I don't know why I'm getting the same word emperor out again, the Nawab. In this particular scenario, when a Nawab has not a son and he has not declared an heir before dying, in that particular case, the British implemented a policy in the 1840s known as Doctrine of Lapse, under which that particular princely state, under these particular circumstances, would come directly under the control of British rule. No questions asked, no strings attached. Okay, so these kind of rules the Britishers implemented eventually, how as they got into more and more power and authority in the subcontinent. After that, there was a particular account from an American minister of Unitarian Church and an activist for human rights and anti-imperialism at that time in the 20th century, whose name is J.T. Sunderland, and he basically kind of summed up in his book that in what particular situation the Britishers found India when they first came to India as traders. Okay, and in what particular situation and in economically and commercially speaking, the Britishers left India in 1947. Okay, so I'm going to quote some part from his book, that, and this is J.T. Sunderland writing in his book about what actually was the situation when British got control, or when they got to India under the garb of East India Company, and what was the situation of India after the British left. Okay, so, and I quote, that nearly every kind of manufacture or product known to the civilized world, nearly every kind of creature of man's brain and hand, existed anywhere and prized either for its utility or beauty had long been produced in India. India was a far greater industrial and manufacturing nation than any in Europe or any other in Asia. Her textile goods, the fine products of her looms in cotton, wool, linen, and silk, were famous over the civilized world. So were her exquisite jewelry and her precious stones cut in every lovely form. So were her pottery, porcelains, ceramics of every kind, quality, color, and beautiful shape. So were her fine works in metal, iron, steel, silver, and gold. She had great architecture, equal in beauty to equal to beauty to any in the world. She had great engineering works, she had great merchants, great businessmen, great bankers, and financiers. Not only was she the greatest shipbuilding nation, but she had great commerce and trade by land and sea, which extended to all known civilized countries. Such was the India which the British found when they came. Okay, so this is quite, I would say, a moving paragraph for anyone who is a keen student of history, especially subcontinent's history, that what was the particular, state and why the India is known as the jewel of the medieval times. Okay, you know, it was a booming economy. It had all the industries well and prosperous. People were quite well and prosperous before British came to India and conquered. And this paragraph basically sums up the whole situation of 200 years of the British rule in India. And I think, yeah, that's enough for this particular video. I'm going to discuss the basic information about East India Company, how it got incorporated, and what were the basic details about it, how it, came into being, and so on and so forth in the next video. And till then, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Feel free to write your comments in the comment section. How would you like me to change this format, or any suggestions you may have for this particular venture that I have just started? Okay, so thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.